Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to share practical methods to overcome a short temper and transform how you react to frustration. If you've ever felt your anger flare up instantly, snapped at someone you care about, or felt overwhelmed by rage that seems to come out of nowhere, this video is for you. Are you struggling with situations like these? Maybe you lose your cool over small inconveniences, like someone cutting you off in traffic or a coworker being late to a meeting. Perhaps you find yourself yelling at family members over minor issues, then immediately regretting your words. Or maybe your anger builds so quickly that you feel completely out of control, as if something takes over your body before you can think clearly. You might even notice that your relationships are suffering because people around you are walking on eggshells, afraid of triggering your temper. Many people face these exact same challenges, and you're definitely not alone in this struggle. But here's the good news. The methods I'm sharing today might be really helpful for you. These aren't complicated theories or abstract concepts. These are practical, scientifically backed techniques that thousands of people have used successfully to gain control over their anger. Some of these methods work in just 30 seconds. Others you can practice anywhere, anytime, even in the middle of a heated conversation. And the best part? You don't need any special equipment or expensive therapy sessions to get started. You can begin applying these strategies right after watching this video and potentially feel a difference within just a few days. So let's dive in and understand why anger can feel so overwhelming, and more importantly, how you can take back control starting today. Let's talk about why things don't work when it comes to managing a short temper. First, understand that your body enters fight or flight mode almost instantly when you perceive a threat or frustration. Your nervous system floods your body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline before your rational thinking brain even has a chance to evaluate the situation. This automatic physiological response makes anger feel completely uncontrollable, like a wave crashing over you. Your heart races, your muscles tense, blood rushes to your face, and suddenly you're reacting instead of responding. Second, distorted thinking patterns fuel your anger. When you have rigid expectations about how things should be or how people should behave, any deviation from those expectations triggers frustration. You might find yourself thinking in absolutes like, "This always happens to me," or "They never listen to me," or "Everything is ruined." These exaggerated thoughts magnify your emotional response. You might personalize situations that aren't about you, catastrophize minor setbacks, or jump to conclusions without having all the facts. These thought distortions act like gasoline on the fire of your anger. Third, there's a common misconception about releasing anger. Many people believe that venting their frustration, hitting a pillow, or aggressively expressing their rage helps them feel better. However, research institutions have found that these cathartic methods actually reinforce anger patterns rather than reducing them. When you express anger aggressively, even in supposedly safe ways, you're actually training your brain to respond with aggression more quickly in the future. You're strengthening the neural pathways that lead to explosive reactions. But here's what you need to understand. This doesn't mean anger is a permanent personality trait that you're stuck with forever. A short temper is a learned habit, which means it can be unlearned and replaced with healthier response patterns. Your brain is capable of creating new neural pathways at any age. With the right techniques practiced consistently, you can literally rewire how you respond to frustration. Let's look at the specific methods that actually work. Now let's get into the practical methods you can use starting today. I'm going to share 6 proven techniques that address anger at different stages and in different situations. First, let's talk about the emergency breathing technique. This is your go-to method when anger is rising rapidly and you need immediate calm. A research institution found that breathing exercises are among the most effective standalone interventions for reducing anger arousal. Here's exactly how to do it. The moment you feel anger starting to build, pause immediately. If possible, step away from whatever is triggering you, even if it's just turning your body away or walking to another room. Now, breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Make sure you're breathing from your belly, not your chest. Your abdomen should expand like a balloon filling with air. Hold that breath for 7 counts. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 counts, making a gentle whooshing sound as the air leaves your body. Repeat this cycle at least 3 times, but continue until you feel your heart rate slowing down. While you're breathing, silently repeat a calming word with each exhale, like release, or easy, or calm. The reason this works is that slow, deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's natural calming mechanism. It's impossible to stay in fight or flight mode when you're breathing this way. The key to success with this technique is practice. Don't wait until you're furious to try this for the first time. Practice this breathing pattern when you're already calm, maybe in the morning or before bed, so it becomes automatic. Place your hand on your belly to make sure you're doing diaphragmatic breathing correctly. Your belly should rise and fall more than your chest. Within just 1 week of daily practice, you'll notice your body calms faster when anger strikes. After a month, this breathing pattern will become your automatic response, giving you control before you say or do something you'll regret. Second, practice the cognitive reframe method. This technique helps you change the thoughts that fuel your anger. All you need is a small notebook or your phone's notes app. Here's the specific process. When anger strikes, write down the triggering situation and your initial angry thought. Be completely honest. For example, you might write, "My partner left dishes in the sink. They're so disrespectful and never help around the house." Now ask yourself a critical question. What am I really angry about? Often, anger is a secondary emotion that masks something deeper like embarrassment, fear, insecurity, or feeling undervalued. Maybe you're not actually angry about dishes. Maybe you're feeling unappreciated or worried that you're being taken for granted. Next, challenge your thought by asking, is this absolutely true? What evidence contradicts this belief? In the dishes example, you might realize your partner actually does help with many things, just not in this moment. They're not intentionally disrespecting you. They might just be tired or forgetful. Now rewrite the situation with more balanced, realistic language. Instead of, "They never help," you might write, "They forgot to clean up this time," which is frustrating, but they help in other ways. Each evening, spend 10 minutes reviewing your entries from the day. Look for patterns in your triggers and thinking. You'll start to notice that certain situations repeatedly trigger you, and certain thought patterns repeatedly appear. The success tip here is to focus on replacing absolute words. Words like always, never, should, must, and can't create rigid expectations that lead to anger. Replace them with more flexible language like sometimes, prefer, would like, and usually. Be honest about the emotions beneath your anger. Within 1 week, you'll clearly identify your personal anger triggers and the specific thought distortions you tend to make. Within a month, you'll automatically catch these distorted thoughts in real time before they ignite your temper, which dramatically reduces angry outbursts. Third, use the physical release method when you have high-energy anger that feels overwhelming. Research shows that while aggressive catharsis doesn't help, appropriate physical activity that burns off stress hormones before addressing a problem can be very effective. Here's how to do it right. When you feel intense, energetic anger building up, recognize that you need to release that physical energy safely before you can think clearly. Go somewhere private where you can move freely without disturbing others. This could be your bedroom, a bathroom, outside, or even your car. Now engage in intense physical activity. Sprint in place as fast as you can, do jumping jacks, shadow box with powerful punches into the air, dance vigorously to loud music, or do burpees. The key is to push yourself hard for 2 to 5 minutes until you're breathing heavily and sweating. You want the intensity to match your anger energy level. After this intense burst, immediately transition into the emergency breathing technique. Spend 2 minutes doing the slow, deep breathing to bring your body back to baseline. Once you feel calm, then and only then should you address the issue that made you angry, but now you'll approach it with problem solving rather than raw emotion. The success tip is to choose activities you can do anywhere. Even if you're at work, you can go to the restroom and do intense squats or wall push-ups. If you're in a really public place, you can excuse yourself and walk briskly around the building. The key is matching intensity to your anger level. Never go straight back to the conflict while you're still heated from exercise. Always follow physical release with calm breathing. Within 1 week, you'll experience immediate relief from overwhelming anger sensations. After a month of using this technique consistently, you'll have broken the pattern of explosive outbursts by channeling your energy productively before engaging with problems. Fourth, develop the mindful pause routine. This method helps you catch anger early before it becomes overwhelming. Mindfulness means observing your experience without judgment, and it's incredibly powerful for anger management. Here's the specific routine. First, create a personal pause signal, a physical gesture that reminds you to be mindful. This could be pressing your thumb and forefinger together, touching your earlobe, or placing your hand over your heart. Choose something subtle that you can do anywhere. When you first notice irritation beginning, before you're in full anger mode, activate your pause signal. Now simply notice your body sensations without trying to change them or judge them. Where do you feel anger in your body? Maybe your jaw is tight, your face feels hot, your fists are clenched, or your shoulders are tense. Just observe these sensations with curiosity, as if you were a scientist studying an interesting phenomenon. Next, observe your angry thoughts, but recognize them as just thoughts, not facts. Instead of thinking, "This person is disrespecting me," think, "I'm having the thought that this person is disrespecting me." This small shift creates distance between you and your thoughts. Stay with these observations for at least 60 seconds, breathing normally. You're not trying to make the anger go away. You're just watching it with awareness. Finally, from this place of awareness, choose your response consciously rather than reacting automatically. The success tip is to practice mindful observation during calm moments throughout your day. Notice sensations while you're drinking your morning coffee, feel your feet on the ground while you're walking, listen closely to sounds around you. This daily practice trains your awareness muscle so you can access it when anger arises. Remember that emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent residents. They come and go like weather patterns. After 1 week of practicing mindful pauses, you'll catch anger much earlier in its cycle, when it's just a spark rather than a raging fire. Within a month, you'll naturally respond to frustrations thoughtfully instead of reactively, and people around you will comment on how much calmer and more controlled you seem. Fifth, try the cold intervention technique for immediate physiological calming. This method works because cold temperature directly affects your nervous system. You'll need access to cold water, which is available almost everywhere. Here's the exact process. When your anger intensity is high, immediately go to a sink, bathroom, or kitchen. Run cold water over your hands and wrists for at least 30 seconds. Really feel the cold sensation. If possible, splash cold water on your face and the back of your neck. These areas have a high concentration of nerves that connect directly to your calming system. If you have a cold, wet towel available, hold it against the back of your neck for a minute. For extreme anger, if circumstances allow, take a cold shower for even more powerful effects. The shock of cold redirects your attention away from the anger trigger and directly activates your body's calming response. The success tip here is to prepare in advance. Keep a small ice pack in your freezer or a cold gel mask in your fridge specifically for anger management. When you're angry, your ability to think of creative solutions drops dramatically, so having a cold tool ready to grab makes it more likely you'll actually use this technique. The physical shock of cold interrupts your anger response much more effectively than trying to think your way out of rage. You'll experience an immediate calming effect within seconds of applying cold. After regular use over a month, your body will learn to associate the cooling sensation with emotional regulation, making your anger episodes both shorter and less intense over time. Sixth, implement the communication shield strategy to prevent angry words you'll regret. This method is about buying yourself time during conflicts. You'll need prepared phrases that you write down or memorize in advance. Here's how to do it. Before conflicts arise, during a calm moment, prepare several neutral phrases that buy you time without insulting the other person or escalating the situation. Write down phrases like, "I need a moment to think about this, let me get back to you on that later, I hear what you're saying, and I need some time to process it," or, "I want to respond thoughtfully, so I'm going to take a short break." Memorize these phrases so you can access them even when you're upset. When you feel anger starting during a conversation or argument, use your prepared phrase immediately, before you say something harmful. Then remove yourself physically from the situation for at least 20 minutes. This timing is important because research institutions have found it takes approximately 20 minutes for stress hormones to decrease enough for rational thinking to return. During your break, use any of the other techniques like breathing, physical release, or cold water. Return only when you can discuss the issue calmly and assertively. When you do return to the conversation, focus on, "I feel," statements rather than, "you always," or "you never," accusations. For example, say, "I feel frustrated when dishes are left out," instead of, "you never clean up after yourself." The success tip is to explain your strategy ahead of time to family members or close coworkers. Let them know that when you take a break during a discussion, it's not because you're avoiding the issue or don't care. It's because you want to communicate better and preserve the relationship. Honor your commitment to return and address the issue once you're calm. Within 1 week of using this strategy, you'll prevent yourself from saying things you deeply regret. After a month, you'll notice that people respond much better to you because they feel heard rather than attacked. Conflicts will resolve more productively, and your relationships will improve as trust rebuilds. Now let me summarize what we discussed today. First, practice calming breaths daily so it becomes automatic when anger strikes. Next, question your angry thoughts and reframe them with more balanced perspectives. Then, release your physical energy safely before addressing problems. After that, pause and observe your anger mindfully without judgment. Additionally, use cold water intervention to immediately calm your nervous system. Finally, prepare communication shields to buy yourself time during conflicts. The most important thing is to start with just one technique that resonates with you. Don't try to implement all 6 methods at once. That's overwhelming and sets you up for failure. Choose the one that feels most doable for your lifestyle and commit to practicing it for 1 full week. After you've made that first technique a habit, then add a second one. After watching this video, please try the emergency breathing technique first. It only takes 2 minutes to practice, and you can do it right now while sitting where you are. Try it immediately so you know how it feels when you're calm. Practice it every morning for the next week. You might start feeling changes in how you react to frustration within just a few days. It's completely okay if the techniques aren't perfect at first. You might forget to use them in the heat of the moment. You might try them and still feel angry. That's normal and expected. Managing anger is a skill that improves with repetition, just like learning to play an instrument or speak a new language. What matters most is that you keep trying. Continuing little by little, day by day, is what creates lasting change. Be patient and compassionate with yourself during this process. Remember, your short temper doesn't define who you are as a person. It's simply a habit pattern that can be rewired with consistent practice. You have far more control than you might think right now. Take that first step today, choose one technique, and watch as your relationships, your work life, and your self-respect begin to transform. If today's content was helpful for you, please hit the like button. Your likes help this video reach other people who are struggling with the same challenges and need these practical solutions. If you want to learn more problem-solving techniques and life improvement strategies, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Let's solve problems and grow together. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.